You got to get people around you in your life who are going to hold you accountable to your best self. I understand that it's uncomfortable, but guess what? So is failing. So is feeling out of shape. So is not having money. So is having a crappy relationship to come home to. All those things suck. You got to decide which one you want to deal with.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hey, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024, and this is going to be an awesome year because we have a lot of awesome stuff in store for you, both in this No Have Cakes podcast, in coaching programs, and just life in general. I have been lit up lately and just loving so much of what's going on and what you guys are sharing with me. I honestly can't put into words how much the stories you share and the things that we interact with together make a difference to me and help kind of pour into the motivation. For me personally, I get so much joy out of seeing you guys continue to push forward, continue to kind of break those issues and the struggles and things that you suffer with. I want to give you credit for putting in the work. This episode in specific is going to be a little bit different. We're not sitting with anyone today but me, and I wanted to talk through something important with you. It's January 4th, when this comes out. I'm actually recording this in real time today because I have an important message that I want to share. I made a commitment on January 1st, or actually I made it in late December, but I made a commitment to start January 1st, a 7-day water fast. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is basically eating and drinking nothing but water for 7 straight days. Now, there's a couple benefits and reasons why I decided to do that. Number one, there is the health benefit of getting into ketosis and autophagy, where you're starting to kind of remove the dead cells from your body and just starting fresh. It's a great mental discipline to go through the process of kind of resisting the urge, changing your relationship with food, all things that are really beneficial for you. But it is a beast of a thing to undertake. I've done a couple fasts in the past years ago, never at the 7-day duration, but I said, hey, let's make a commitment and go through with it. Start this year off with a bang. And I started. And today I stopped. So I have officially failed my fasting goal of 7 days. Now, I share that with you for a couple reasons. Number one is, I said before, I don't think enough people publicly fail. And I do want to do what I can to stand up in that and say, hey, I made a commitment to do something and I didn't do it. I do think more people need to stand up and say, hey, it's okay to not put on a facade and try and protect your ego and pride and say, hey, I'm amazing and I did this thing. Because guess what? I very easily could pretend. No one's going to know if I just played pretend and said, yeah, guys, I did it, but I'd be really cheating myself. And at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to live with that. So as much as it could be something where I can say, hey, guess what, guys, I did it. I made it 7 days. It's not the right thing to do. And ultimately, I would be cheating myself. I'd be cheating you guys out of the truth and really be setting you up for disappointment, for frustration, for expectations of your own when you go to do something and you say, hey man, I tried to do that and I failed at day 3. It's amazing that you can do it to day 7. I didn't do it either. So I just want to be clear about that, abundantly clear. I failed. And I want to talk a little bit about failing in that process, why I decided to stop, and why that actually matters to you. So here's what I did. I got to a point where mentally and physically, I could not execute at the level that I needed to in this moment to continue pushing forward on some bigger goals, some business goals, some personal goals, some family goals. What wound up happening was the lack of caloric intake, the lack of food, put me into a spot where I physically could not operate at the level that I needed to. Now, that would be all well and good if I had the luxury right now of being able to go take a nap for 6 hours, and sleep it off. Try again. Right now, physically can't do it. It's just not in the cards. So I had to make a decision on whether or not it was smart to concede this battle. Say, hey, I'm retreating, but it's on purpose. I'm willing to lose this battle, right? To retreat back to the fort, to make a better plan to win the war. So to me, it made sense to take a step back, say, hey, this original goal of 7 days, it's not going to happen. Could I have gritted it out, made it happen? Probably. Would the collateral damage be worth it? Absolutely not. So I would have gotten to a position where physically became ill. Not worth it. Not worth not being present for family, for business, for opportunities. At that point, it would have been just for pride and ego. And again, we're not doing this for pride or ego. This is not about me, right? And pride and ego is something that we're actively looking to remove from our life. The more things that we do for external validation, for people to like us, the less meaningful that success is really going to be. So that was really the reason and the justification behind why I decided to end that this morning. Now, what does that have to do with you, and kind of why are we talking about it? We all typically tend to get into a spot when we start the new year where we look at new year, new me, right? 2024 is going to be my year because of X, Y, and Z, whatever the reason is. And we make these resolutions, we make these plans, we make these commitments, and we cast vision for what's going to happen in this upcoming year. Now, generally, right, if we look at by the stats, a majority of people fail those resolutions within the first couple weeks of January, totally abandon them, never go back. That's what I want to talk to you about here. You got to look at the long-term vision of what you're looking to do. Right? If my only metric of success was, am I a successful person if I complete this fast? Or does it play a smaller part in the larger health goals I have for 2024 and the 10-year vision beyond that? So to me, right, in this moment right now today, I made a decision that said, hey, I am willing to sacrifice this short-term goal for the greater good of the long-term vision. Because what can happen is you can get so rigid in your resolutions, right? To be resolute, right? You're making a decision that's either a yes or a no. You can be so rigid in that when something comes up and you cannot adapt and you can't make the adjustment, you say, all right, well, I failed. Let's go back to the old way and forget it ever happened. And that on or off mentality, that all in or all out mentality, typically doesn't serve you well. So, and I say that with some authority in that because I very much am a all in or all out type of person. And it's something that I'm actively working on regulating and really harnessing in the right way. So what I want to encourage you to do is when looking at vision for this year, I want you to look at December 31st, 2024, right? So we're fast forwarding 12 months of the year. I want you to imagine being there at 11:58, 2 minutes before midnight. You're in a good mood. You're hanging out with the people that you love. You are getting ready to celebrate all of the amazing things that happened in this year, right? This year that has not even happened yet. I want you to envision what you're celebrating. What is it that you are grateful for? And don't just give me like this rattled off list. I want you to really envision it in as much specific detail as possible. Right? If you're grateful that you finally got rid of that old car and you got a new one, I want you to describe the make and model, the color, what the interior smells like, what song was playing on the radio, or whatever you listen to. But as specific as possible. Okay, and I want you to do that with all of your goals for this year. Your goals should be as specific as possible, and you should be reminding yourself of those as much as possible. Now, I want you to also understand the difference between being committed to a goal and being inflexible or being rigid, like we talked about before. If I am committed to reaching a health goal for this year, but I am too rigid in my approach, what happens is once one thing goes awry, right, and your plans, got news for you, your plans are never going to work out the exact way that you think they are. Okay? You're going to have to make adjustments. And if you don't believe that you're going to have to make adjustments, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but you will. Okay? Things are not always going to go according to plan. But you need to understand the difference between being committed to the vision and being flexible in the approach. I want you to be committed to the vision. But I want you to also realize that day to day, things are not always going to work out according to your plan. There's going to come a time where you realize things worked out the way that they needed to, but you have to remain committed to reaching that goal. Not always going to be easy. And that's why I encourage you to get around people who are going to hold you accountable to that and hold you accountable to your best self. Right? If I get into a scenario, let's look back at this 7-day fast scenario. I started feeling the effects of this last night. The first thing I did immediately, sent out a text. I got a group of men in my life who I can lean on heavily and say, hey guys, here's where I'm at. I need your opinion. Right? What do you think? That group is not going to be like, oh, Jim, you tried. Go eat a cheeseburger. They're going to give me legitimate advice. They're going to hold me accountable to my best self. And they're going to actually help me figure out the best solution. Right? That's not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be easy. But you're going to pay a price regardless. Okay, the price you pay for the goals that you want is only going to go up the longer you delay it. So if you are willing to get around people who are going to hold you accountable, if you're willing to be unoffendable, if you're willing to put your ego and pride aside and look at how do I stop being selfish when it comes to how this goal and this vision pertains to me and me and me and me focused only, right? Not figuring out how are other people going to judge me for this, but how can I show up best to serve the people around me? That's what it's about. So you got to get people around you in life that are going to support you, who are going to hold you accountable to your best self, but who are going to tell you the hard truth. Sometimes you don't want to hear it. You got to have the uncomfortable conversations. Look, I get it's not always going to be comfortable to talk about failure. It's not always going to be comfortable to talk about your struggles, the things that you need help with, the questions you don't have the answers to. Those things are not always going to be comfortable. In fact, most of the time they're going to suck. But if you don't make the effort right now to get people in your life you can lean on, you can have those conversations with, people who can have those conversations with you. You got to get a tribe around you who's going to see the vision. And maybe they don't even understand it. But they believe in you so freaking much that they believe in the vision by default. People are going to stretch your vision. People are going to say, nah, man, you're not thinking big enough. You're capable of more. You need those people in your life because they're going to push you and they're going to hold you accountable to what you can do. I encourage you as you go through this year, as you step into January of 2024, right? Today's the 4th. It's the 4th day of the year. You got 361 left to go. Sounds like a lot, right? You're like, oh man, there's so much time left in this year. But I promise you this. If you do not take a relentlessly impatient pursuit of your goals, you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be December. You're going to say, oh man, I had all these goals for 2024, but this happened and that happened and this and that and so many things came up that were out of my control. Oh, well, it is what it is. Let's just coast through the rest of the year and 2025 will be my year. It's not. You're going to repeat the same cycle over and over again until you take accountability for doing the work. I promise you it's going to suck. I'm not going to lie to you. But it is going to suck in the best freaking way. Getting around a group of people who have zero hesitancy to light you up when you need to is one of the absolute best things I've ever done. If you need it, I personally have a Jumpstart program. I'll be happy to take you into it. I have capacity for about 10 people so far. I mean, as of the time of me saying this, we go through in deep accountability where you are right now. We figure out your starting address. We figure out your end destination, where you want to go in the course of this year. We put together a roadmap. We figure out all the different things that you need to do to get from where you are right now to where you want to go. And then we hold each other accountable for 30 straight days. Text messages, phone calls, emails, Slack messages, carrier pigeons, whatever it is. There is no escaping it. That's 30 straight days of absolute accountability and momentum that put you on a course to demolish this year. It helps. You got to get people around you in your life who are going to hold you accountable to your best self. I understand that it's uncomfortable, but guess what? So is failing. So is feeling out of shape. So is not having money. So is having a crappy relationship to come home to. All those things suck. You got to decide which one you want to deal with. Do you want to just put aside your pride and ego, stop being offended at everybody, get some friends around you who are going to hold you accountable, and get out of debt, get out of those crappy relationships, get out of all that stress and worry that you have? I understand. Look, it's easy to say, I don't know, it's scary. It feels hard to do. I'd rather just deal with whatever comes up as it comes up. Cool. But guess what? 2025 isn't going to be your year either. Neither will 2026, neither will 2027, until you get over the fact that you got to choose your hard. They're all going to suck. I promise you that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say it's magically easier, but you will get infinitely stronger when you get around people who hold you accountable. It is never going to get easier. You are going to get stronger. But if you keep taking the easy way out, you will not. So, look, that's a long way of me saying you deserve it. I'm tired of hearing 2024 is going to be my year, 2025 is going to be my year, and seeing it happen over and over again, but it not happen. I do not expect all of your goals to be realized within a year. Okay, look, let's be honest. We're going to set big vision for this year. Big. And if you're not setting big vision that scares the crap out of you, your vision's not big enough. But if you're setting small goals that you think are easily achievable, what's the point? It's not about checking the box. It's not about saying, oh, I did the thing I said I was going to do. No, it's about reaching your best freaking self, about reaching your full potential. If you don't know what that looks like, get around people who are going to highlight it for you, who are going to show you what that looks like. It's going to be hard. You're going to fail a lot. I'm going to fail a lot too, and I'm going to do my damn best to show you every time I fail in that process. So I want you to understand that failure is part of that process. It's not this thing that we should be afraid of. Okay, it's not this thing that you should be like, oh my God, I'm afraid to fail. Guess what? If you're afraid to fail, you will never succeed. Never. I need you to be comfortable in failure. I need you to be comfortable being unoffendable. I need you to be vulnerable. I need you to put down your ego and pride, and I need you to understand that you are freaking worth it. So look, that's my message for you today. I want you to hold yourself accountable. I want you to get around people who are going to help light you up. If you need that to be me, I'm here for you. If you need that to be somebody else, go do it. And if you can't find one of those people, be one of those people. The easiest and fastest way to get around people who are going to lift you up is to start being that person for other people. But do it with the right intentionality. Don't look to point out faults and be critical in people just to drag them down. It's not the way. Do it out of love. Put your heart first. That's what it's about. It's about being heartcore. Okay, that means putting your heart at the core of every freaking thing you do. Be a servant leader. Be a good friend. Be willing to go first. That's what I want for you. I want you to demolish every personal goal you have. And I'm willing to support you in that. But you're going to need to do the work. So with that, I'm wishing you a prosperous 2024. I have a lot of awesome things in store for you this year. I really, truly wish you the best. And I look forward to seeing you out there putting in the work. Let's get it done.